So I'm here with Jean-Baptiste Rivail. He's the estate director for Newton up on Spring Mountain. You were one of the hardest hit wineries in the 2020 wildfires, and you brought us in to take a look at what you have to do here. We're the first people to get in and see what's going on. We're standing in what used to be a vineyard. There's still some vines here, but this is the cleanup operation and it's now about to begin. Talk to us a little bit about how much acreage you've lost in terms of your vines and what you have to do going forward.
So essentially, Newton Vineyard on Spring Mountain is a 560 acre property on which approximately 70 acres were planted before the fire. So we estimate that out of the 70 acres we've lost 63 essentially. Not everything was burnt. Some blocks were intact, but unfortunately edges were burned. So in terms of evenness, we have to replant everything. And also, given the complexity of the site, it's very steep here. We have to fix all the irrigation that burnt, and we don't have the time to fix that before the next heat season. So we want to redevelop everything evenly. We have a 6 years plan to replant everything and repair the irrigation gradually. So starting from the bottom and moving up and up and up.
So you're starting over from the beginning, but you don't have a blank slate because you have to take out what's in here in some cases. And some of those blocks where you have a little bit of damage, it's enough where it doesn't make sense to try to rehabilitate the portion. You have to redo the whole block anyway, right? That's
mostly the case for all the blocks, yes. We've unfortunately had to declare everything as lost for that reason. Any block that was damaged at more than 30% would not make sense to try to revive for stylistic reasons. And so we have to admit that we have to redo everything in here, starting with the lowest part of the property where it's easier and a little bit more flat, and gradually moving up as we're fixing. First removing the old vines, removing the infrastructure, repairing the underground structure, and being able to replant.
And also the proximity to the water, because you have to rebuild the entire irrigation system, so you do that from the reservoir that you have down below all the way up. Now, water is an issue here too. You collect everything just via rainwater for your irrigation, and this has been a very dry winter. You've got 1/4 of your actual rainfall right now. How difficult is it to establish new vineyards on a mountain like this when you have such little water?
It is difficult because obviously new vines need more water than older vines. And so this is why we will stretch this redevelopment over at least 6 years to make sure that every new block that is planted receives an adequate amount of water to really fortify the vines and the root system before moving on.
It's a lot of bad news, but there's good news because one, you know what was working well on the property to begin with, so you can recreate that. And two, you also have a chance to do some new things. What are some of the new things that you might be able to do?
Well, on the one hand, I think in terms of new things, the most important is we know what rootstock and what clone are the most appropriate for such a complex topography, and also are the most water conscious, I would say. So we are going to replant all the property with water sustainability approach in mind. We are today fully organic and want to continue to be fully organic and pushing it to the highest level of regenerative farming. So this is probably the most exciting part of this redevelopment. We can re-engineer the property around these paradigms of there will be less water. We need to plant and be as little water hungry as possible, and obviously make sure that all the plants that are here will thrive in this environment of organic, possibly dry farming operation.
So I'm James Molesworth, Senior Editor at Wine Spectator, chatting with Jean-Baptiste Rivail of Newton. They've got a big project in front of them. We're going to take a look around the rest of the property and see what else we can find.